Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And we are continuing our series of our top 100 games of all time. And today we are talking about 60 through 51. We're going to get halfway through at the end of this list. But before we do, we just want to remind you to subscribe. We do all sorts of videos. We do our top 10 lists. We do reviews. We do convention vlogs. We do skits. We do all of it. So make sure to subscribe so you can see all our videos as they come out.
That's right. After this video, next week, instead of continuing our list, we're going to take a small hiatus, and we're going to be talking about our top 10 games from 2024. We would love to have released this in, like, January 1st. That makes a lot of sense, right? But there's a lot of games that get released, and we're going to try to squeeze a few more in before we make our list, just to make sure. But yes, then after that, we'll continue our top 100 of all time, with the top 50 coming up next. All right, so let's kick things off with 60 through 51. Ladies first.
Thanks. My number 60 is Can't Stop, and this is the quintessential push your luck game. You are rolling dice to try to get couplings to go up on a tracker. The trick of the game is once you've recognized 3 trackers that you're going to go up, whether you're going up on 6s or 7s or 9s, if you roll the dice and there's not a coupling of any of those, you lose all progress that you've made and you have to start from the beginning or where you started on that track. The goal is to make it to the top. Is it 3?
You have to finish off 3 tracks.
Yeah, you have to finish off 3 tracks before any of your competitors. It is a lot of fun. You have to push your luck in order to win this game. You will not win it by chance.
All right, my number 60. This is Forbidden Desert. There are 4 games in the Forbidden line. Forbidden Desert was the second one that came out, and it took Forbidden Island and kind of ramped it up a little bit. It had this very interesting. It's a full cooperative game by Matt Leacock. And it has this storm, a sandstorm going on in the desert that is moving around. And wherever the sandstorm moves, more sand gets piled onto the board. So we're constantly trying to dig out the sand, trying to get to the things underneath. All these different parts to this ship that we're trying to use to kind of fly away. It is so insanely clever, very thematic as well. Every time I play this, it is absolute story narrative. You know, things get really, really, really tense, and you either die on the cliffhanger or you win right at the last possible second. I love the excitement that comes out of this game. It is my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite Forbidden game. I should probably look that up, but it is a very good one. Is it my favorite one?
Which one?
This one. Yes, it is. There's no one higher. So this is my favorite, according to the rankings, my favorite of the Forbidden series. Forbidden Jungle, also very good.
Okay. My number 59 is Lost Ruins of Arnak, and this is just an exploration game where you're trying to get all this stuff, and you're going up on a different track, and you need to do things in order to do things. I always think that's fun, where you have to do things in order to do other things, but you also have to do things to do other things. Yeah.
I follow.
Yeah. And I really like the components in this game. It's really fun as you're drafting that. It's funny because I really, really like this game. We are literally just talking about it because I haven't played it in a very long time. It makes me kind of sad. We should play this one again.
I play this online constantly.
That's why we don't play it.
So I don't have the need to play it in person.
Everything is explained right now in this moment. Real-time explanation as to why we don't play Lost Ruins of Arnak anymore. Ryan.
Well, suggest it next time. You never suggest it either, so it's on you.
It's because we have so many games we have to play.
But I can't know what you want to play unless you tell me. All right, my number 59, Las Vegas, sometimes also known as the Las Vegas Dice Game. This is a game that basically every player has 8 die, and you're going to roll them, and then you're going to figure out different clusters of dice. So if you have all the 5s together, all the 3s together, whatever, you're going to choose one of those clusters and put it out there. And it kind of acts as like an area control section for these various casinos. There's 6 different casinos out there, and the winner of each one gets various amounts of money. Sometimes there's even second place or third place money that's awarded as well. The other trick of it is, if you ever have a tie, let's say on the 3s, on the 3 casino, if I have 2 dice there and Bethany has 2 dice there, our daughter has 1 dice there, we cancel each other out. The person with 1 dice, who actually had the least amount, they're going to win. So you are constantly trying to figure out if you can take something over, or if you should just try to be a second place somewhere else, or just really go heavy after that one that's worth a lot of money. It is really, really fun, very silly, very fast, and it's hard to find these days. It actually is kind of worth a lot of money. I don't know if it's who has the rights currently to print it, but it is hard to get your hands on. It is really fun, though.
My number 58 is Fire in the Library. This is another push your luck game. There is a fire in a library, and you are
just
trying
like the name
to
says.
save, you're trying to save different manuscripts. There's the different color of the book, so they're all worth a different amount of points at the end of the game. The problem is you're going into this bag to pull out the different cube colors, but there's fire in there as well. So as soon as you get X amount of fire tokens, then everything you saved is lost, and you actually didn't save any books. So you're trying to go in to save books, but you're also going to get fire. One of the things that I think is really cool about this game is there's the 4 different book types, and it's this picture of a tree, and every time you, it's a counter, and it flips over to the other side. The picture of those 4 things, it's a picture of the tree in the library, and more fire gets added. So the last 4 cards are completely on fire. So I just think that's a really nice little thematic thing.
My number 58 is Raiders of the North Sea. This is a worker placement game from Garfield Games, and this is the first time I had seen a worker placement game where you kind of got to trigger 2 things. So on your turn, you're to place a maple, and based off what color it is and where you place it, you get a certain benefit. And then, from that same location, you're going to pick up a maple and do whatever that color maple does in that location. So you're picking up and you're putting down, you're picking up and you're putting down over and over again. So you get basically 2 for the price of 1 actions on your turn. This is the first time I'd seen that done. Later on, we played a game called Forges of Ravenshire. It does something similar with a dice placement game, and it is very, very cool there as well. In Raiders of the North Sea, the board kind of starts. You're at one coast, and you kind of slowly expand and kind of until you have the full board available to you. This is it feels so big and satisfying, but it's also over with really quick too. It does not overstay its welcome at all. You are on your edge of the seat the whole time. This is a really fun thematic Euro, which is those 2 words seem like they juxtapose, but this game does it perfectly.
My number 57 is Landmark. So I talked about a different word or game earlier. This is actually now my favorite word game. It's a word association game. You're on this island, and there's 3 words out there. And you are giving clues to try to get off the island. What you do is you write another word down and you put it over there, and your teammates have to decide where you're associating that with the other words that are available, and you're trying to going out from there. It is a lot of fun, and I think it's very tricky. This has replaced Codenames for me. I would play this over Codenames any day of that word association that's going on, and we have yet to introduce it to a group of people who didn't automatically love it. Absolutely love it. We brought it to play with my family last summer when we were at a cabin. And how many games did you get in?
I bet it was 20 back to back.
They just absolutely loved it. Loved it. If you like word association games, oh my gosh, you need to check out Landmarks.
All right, so my number 57, this is On the Rocks. In this game, you're basically building these kind of adult beverages, right? But they all take different ingredients. And the ingredients take the place of these marbles. So these marbles, your personal board has kind of these recessed spots where you put the marbles. The production quality is through the roof. Good. You're kind of drafting these marbles through this, I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a rondelle. It's just a circle. It's a circle that you're kind of deploying these different marbles to and trying to make it so that in each dish there's ones that you want but maybe nobody else wants. And so you're drafting the marbles, drafting these different ingredients to be able to put on your board to finish off these different beverages. And it looks great. It feels great. It lasts the perfect amount of time. It's easy to teach while still being a kind of a, I wouldn't say it's heavy. It's not a heavy game, but but considering how easy to teach, it is heavy. It's involved while not being scary. You can teach it to anybody. Yes. Yeah, but there's still game there. Yeah, there's still depth in there in the decision making while being very accessible. All right. That's the way to say it. My number 50... Elegant. Is elegant the way to say that? Yeah. I feel like elegant was we don't use that word as much or we overuse it, but this is elegant design. Yeah, it's just, it's easy to teach this game to anybody, but that doesn't mean that you'll be able to do well. Yes, that's true.
My number 56 is Bosk. This is such an interesting game. There's like two stages in this game. You're placing trees everywhere of your color, and then in the second half of the game, those trees are dropping leaves everywhere, and you want your leaf to be on top. But what's really fun about it is there's directions that the wind is moving, and so you have to move your leaf a certain direction when that happens. And I just think this is so cool. It's really neat when the game is done. You're like building this little piece of art, and then it's all done, and you get to look at it. But I really like Bosk. It has that, like I said, it's interesting because it's like two games in one. It's like this is one half of the game. This is you're setting up in the first part of the game for the second half of the game. But it works. It works really well. You don't feel like you're doing two different things. You feel like you're playing like an act one, act two of one overarching play.
That's a good way to describe it, yeah. All right, so my number 56, this is Letter Jam. This is a cooperative kind of game where you're trying to get each other to guess letters that you have in front of you. Everyone has letters in front of you, but they're facing away from you. So kind of like Hanabi, you have cards facing away from you, but you can see what everybody else has. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get other people to guess what their letters are by spelling out words.
Yeah.
So you're going to spell out words by giving people numbers. So numbers 1 through 8, you have these tokens, you're handing them out, and then people are writing down what the words of what they can see, writing down a question mark where the number that they were given was. And then based off that, they're like, okay, so this could be a G, it could be a T, you know, where they try to figure out what it could be. And eventually, hopefully, they narrow it down soon to where they figure out, okay, this is the only possible letter I could have in front of me, and then they go to the next one.
Yeah.
So you are trying to help each other figure out what letter you have in front of you by spelling out these words, and they just have to fill in the gaps in their mind of what that letter could be in order to make this be a legitimate word. Very crazy, you have to be really thinking about this. Like, and sometimes you have to make some leaps of logic, too. Sometimes you're like, I'm running out of time here. There's only a few clues left, and I've still got like 2 letters I need to get through. I'm pretty sure this is like there's 2 or 3 letters I'm in between, but based off this one clue that one person gave me, I'm going to say that it's this letter because that makes more sense of basically the kind of clue that they would give.
Yeah. My number 55 is King Domino, and this is a tile drafting and line game. You have these tiles that are dominoes. One half is one thing, one half is the other, and you're drafting it into your kingdom. And you can only place where a tile type has already been outside of your starting marker. This is just a really fun game. The thing that's interesting is that when you're drafting these, they're all numbered, whether they're very valuable or not very valuable. So if you're taking one of the better domino tiles, you're going to draft last in the next round. And I also really like, and it's not on my list later, so I feel like I can talk about it. I also really like Dragomino. This was the one geared towards children where it really introduced the very basics of this. And what I really like about kids games and how we view kids games is we like to use games as introducing a concept, and so this introduced that drafting and combining of the 2 tiles, so it was great. And when we introduced our 7-year-old to King Domino, she already understood it. She was already playing it because of the steps that Dragomino had given her.
All right, so my number 55, this is a crazy game called Viking Seesaw. This is pretty hard to get in the United States. Our friend got it from the Tokyo Game Fair.
Something like that.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. But this is, I believe it's Knizia design, actually, though, even though it's only available in Asia, or at least it was at the time. You have a literal Viking ship that is a balancing teetering, seesaw. It's called Viking Seesaw. And you have all of these different weirdo-shaped things that are different weights, too. So you have like a very heavy metal cubes, and you have like plastic marbles that are rolling around. You have these wooden books. You have all these different things that are, you have meeples that are kind of odd-shaped. And you are trying to place something on the higher end, so it's on a seesaw, on the higher end without letting it invert. So you're having to place do I have enough? Is there enough weight on the other side that I can place one of my metal cubes, or do I need to get one of my easy things, like the really lightweight things, just to kind of survive, hope that it chips on somebody else's turn? But now I'm out one of my better pieces for later on in the game. So you have to kind of the decision making of what to place, where to place it, and how to steady your hand is all plays into this. It is the kind of game you're going to play 10 times back to back to back because it's just so silly and so funny. And there's all these little bits to it that are all completely crazy. I love it.
All right, my number 54 is Ecosystem, and this is a card drafting game. You are building out this tableau, but you want to have a little bit of everything in the tableau. So you are creating this ecosystem. There's all these different animals, and there are different like rivers or grasslands and things like that. And different things want to be by other things, like the bees obviously want to be where like the grasslands are, stuff like that. And then just so you're drafting all of that, and then they score based on where they're placed in your tableau, and they all want to be next to each other or don't want to be next to each other if it's a prey-predator situation. And it's just really, really fun. One of the things I really like about this game is that I felt like the two-player variant worked very well. You have a person who you're basically giving cards to every round, and they can actually beat you out for bonuses in the game. So I just really liked how the two-player variant worked in this one.
All right, my number 54. This is Flick 'em Up, but specifically the Giant Edition. Flick 'em Up is a Western rootin' tootin' game where you have these shootouts where you are flicking these discs at each other, trying to knock stuff over. The Giant Edition is the best way to play, especially in a convention scenario.
Yeah.
If you can get like 10 players, a 5-on-5 game, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It is insane. All right, so you have, on top of that, you have all these different scenarios that you can play with. The scenario that we most recently played was, we had one team had a dude that was in jail. He was about to be hung, in fact.
Yeah.
It was some criminal. So we, as the other criminals, were having to swarm in and set him free. But he's guarded by his whole series of sheriffs. So these sheriffs are all shooting at the outlaws as they're kind of...
But they can't shoot first. Like, we had to shoot first.
Right, you can't shoot citizens randomly.
But they created a scenario where we had to shoot them.
Yes.
There was like a shoot-off, so they made it to where they could start shooting us.
It was so silly and so fun. In the Giant Edition, the meeples are just huge. Yeah. The bullets that you shoot are just these massive pucks that you're flicking across the board. And trying to shoot each other out. And then there's a kind of sideboard thing that happens where you do a duel sometimes, where you get, you're trying to shoot each other and knock each other over, but you get closer and closer and closer because it's hard to get from that far away.
Yeah.
You get closer and closer and eventually knock someone over. You have these different guns that can shoot different ways. This is one of the best convention style games.
Oh, yes.
If you can get in a game on this with strangers, they will become your friends because you are so fighting for your team. There's a bunch of different scenarios, and they all take that same system of dexterity flicking and make it a whole new game by using different scenarios.
Yeah. My number 53 is Mountains, and this is a game where you are trying to go on these different hiking routes, except you need certain materials. However, you don't always have all of them. So you have X amount of things in your hand, and you flip over whatever trail you want to go, and you need things that you don't necessarily have. So you're asking everybody if they have certain things. You pay them. If they have it, they just reveal it, and then at the end of it, they put it back in your hand. So you're trying to memorize what everybody has, because it is impossible for you to go on some of these hikes with the things that are just in your hand. So you're trying to memorize it or go on the easier hikes to try to get those easy points for things that only require 1 or 2 items, and hopefully you have them while you're trying to memorize. And then throughout the game, people will end up drawing more cards because some of the routes need 2 of certain things, and you might have 1, but you need somebody else's, but you don't remember who has what. And I don't know why, but we just really are endeared towards this game. We've played this game a lot. There's this stamp in it for your, it's kind of like a passport thing, I guess, when you're traveling on these routes. And we've used a lot more than I'd say we would typically use in a game like this because we played it a lot.
All right, my number 53. This is Firefly the game. This is a really great just kind of a sandbox game. You are a captain of a ship, and you are going out and you're completing missions, and you can choose what kind of missions you're going to go on. You can go on really crazy, lucrative missions that are really challenging, that might lose some of your crew. You can play legal cards, you can play illegal cards, you can play moral cards, you can play immoral cards, you can play cards that are legally immoral or morally illegal.
Yeah.
And based off of all that, you have to pay your crew when you complete a job. You can just kind of just float around in space and just kind of collect resources and sell the resources. This is a full sandbox that you can do however you want. The thematic tie-ins to the Firefly show are really, really great. Yeah. If you see, Jane's hat, that's one of the cards in the game, or Wash's dinosaurs. All those things are in the game. All the different little side characters from all the different little episodes. They're all there. Every time we play this game, it's like, oh, that's the guy, whatever. Yeah. And it's a game where it's a little long. It's a little long because there's a lot of different scenarios, and some of the scenarios, the most fun scenarios are usually the longer ones. Yeah. So we tend to go through those because there's no point in setting this up and doing this big thing for a short scenario. You want to
It's a table hog. It is a table hog.
You want to sink your teeth into it. So I definitely recommend this, especially for fans of the show, but know that you're in for a long experience, but you're not going to regret it either.
Yeah. All right, my number 52 is Animal Pond Animal Christmas Edition.
Yay!
It's so much fun. It really is. It's so simple. We play it every year with our girls as they've even as they gotten older, they still enjoy the dexterity aspect of this game. This is just one that's endearing towards us because of the memories that we've had, and we can't discount that when we're putting our top 100 games of all time. Sometimes it's their all time because of the experiences we've had playing with them, and that is why this one is on that list. We've just had a great time playing this game with our girls over the years, trying to build that. It's really fun. And then also when they're young and you're playing a game like this, they play with the little pieces, and then you're like, okay, it's your turn.
My penguin is going to land on the star. It's going to...
Yeah.
It's like, I love it. Just whatever. Just playing around.
Yeah. So I'm very endeared toward this game. It's one of those ones that even when they age out of it and they don't want to play it, I'm still probably going to keep this game just because of the memories.
And grandkids.
And yes, that.
Maybe, hopefully, sometimes, eventually.
Yeah.
Or, we can just play it. Who cares? What are they going to do? Make fun of us?
I do know, I have had people say before that this is like, we don't drink, but I've heard people say that this is like a drunk game.
You could absolutely have some adult beverages and then make it every time you topple over, everybody takes a drink.
I didn't even tell you how you play the game. How do you play the game? I'm just talking about the emotions.
Animal upon animal teaches you how to play the game. Saying the name of the game teaches you the game.
You are stacking bits on top of bits, and you don't want the thing to fall over.
And the bits are animals. So it's animal upon animal.
Yeah. There. Explained it.
All right, my number 52. This is Quirky Circuits. This is a cooperative programming game. You have these robots that have all these different objectives, and you are trying to program them in order to do that thing. But because it's cooperative, and you can't share information, so I can't tell Bethany, I'm going to turn left, and then I want you to go forward. All I can do is play a card, and then she plays a card, and then I play a card, hoping that she was kind of interpreting what I was doing, and she
the
plays
back
a card.
Of the cards give you an idea of what that card is.
It's a movement card or a turning card, things like that, or a special action, something like that.
But you don't actually know.
There's 4 different robots. They all act very, very differently. And it's one of those plaid hat games where they give you a full book. And every book is, you open the page, and this is the new board. And then you get to turn the next page, and you have a new board. So there's a bunch of different scenarios. And there's 4 different robots. And each robot has a bunch of different scenarios. And even at the end of the book, there's even more scenarios that are like 2 of the robots existing at the same time. And there's even kind of like expansions that have even more animals. So much fun.
All right, my number 51 is Mythic Mischief, and this is a game where you are different groups of monsters at this monster school, and you're in the library and you're trying to you have to take these tomes.
Yes.
I always say tombs, but you have to take these tomes. But really what you're trying to do is to get the, what's the special name? The bookkeeper, the librarian, basically.
The tome keeper, I think.
Okay, yeah, you're trying to get the tome keeper to find your opponents. So you're trying to manipulate things so that the Tome Keeper bumps into your opponents, because that's really what the game is. But the game is a puzzle. It's like a puzzle that you get to interact with and rearrange and try to manipulate. It's a competitive puzzle that you manipulate, and I just really like it. The pieces are awesome. The gameplay, once you get going, it makes sense. You can take these special actions, but once you use them, they're gone. You're trying to get your tome so you can do better things. It's a really fun one.
All right, the last game I'm going to talk about today is Gizmos. This is my number 51. This is a engine building game that is all about these marbles. You're going to draft these marbles. Then you're going to use these marbles to buy new cards. These cards are going to be these little gizmos, little portions of your engine. And sometimes a gizmo will say, whenever you draft a red marble, you get to get a victory point. Or whenever you draft a red marble, you get to get another free marble. And so if you have both of those cards built and you draft a red marble, you get to trigger both of those effects. So you kind of cascading more and more things into your area, using those new marbles to draft better and stronger cards, and you keep on going, and this engine builds really, really, really fast. It's very fun. It's very tactile. Has a high toy factor to it. With using these marbles, they could have used anything. They could have used chits in a bag, but they used these marbles, and I just love that. They feel so good as you're using them. And the engine that you build is all your own thing. You can go with trying to get extra stuff. You can go with a victory port route. You can go with a hybrid thing. There's all different things you can do in this game to make it work for you. Every time we play it, it is a riot.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We are officially halfway done. Like Ryan mentioned earlier, we are going to take a break to talk about our top 10 games of 2024. And then we're going to get right back on it to get through the rest of this list so we can tell you all of our favorite games.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it now. These are all great games, but we're getting into our top 50 of all time. Again, as always, put it in the comments below what your top favorite games are. Are any of the games that we talked about games that might have made your list? We want to know about that. It's fun to hear all from you guys as well in these topics.
Everybody, don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow us in all of these places.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks for watching our shenanigans. As always, we appreciate it. Over here, if you follow this link, you're going to find a playlist we've handcrafted just for you because you watched this video.
And if you check over here, this is a video that YouTube thinks you might like. So you can check that out if you want as well.
All right, we appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.